Good morning, all. As I said, I'm the Lifesaving Operations Coordinator at Surf Lifesaving New South Wales. That's sort of a broad portfolio, whereas I'm responsible for our state operations procedures and operations, so SOPS manuals, patrol operations manuals, and the gear and equipment. Under the gear and equipment portfolio, we look at traditional lifesaving methods, as well as new and innovative ways to communicate with the public and also our emergency response and rescues. Prior to COVID, we ran out a couple of programs that we tried free beach Wi-Fi for between the flags, where we had units that were delivered to the beach that the public got free Wi-Fi as long as they swam between the flags, and they logged in their own language, and the patrol captains or the lifeguards at that beach would be able to send out push notifications on any changes. We're also trying to integrate those into Surf Lifesaving Australia's Beach Safe app, which gives you real-time data of beach conditions and closures and threats and rips. The app's had a fairly good take-up because it does give you information at the beach of what you're visiting. The emergency response program is another way of improving our response times to an incident. We've been working with state government and local councils to identify a number of black spots up and down the New South Wales coast, and these devices will be placed in an area where we can get a response to within a reasonable amount of time. Obviously, with a response beacon, we need to be able to have assets that we can get to there quickly and safely to help the people in trouble. So New South Wales, Surf Lifesaving New South Wales has 129 surf clubs across 2,000 kilometres of coastline. And as I said before, we've got known black spot locations. A lot of the emergency response beacons will be placed in areas what they call beyond the flag or outside of the patrolled area. And as you can see, in the 2019 and 20, we had nearly 600 call-outs outside the patrol area, and probably around 600 call-outs after hours as well. So Surf Lifesaving now is basically a 24-hour contact operation. We get tasked by the emergency services when any sort of water incident is enacted. So with these response beacons, we're trying to speed up the communications between where the black spot is or where the problem is and our state operations centre, which then can deploy those assets. Traditionally, our beach would have a patrolled area down, near the surf club or somewhere nearby, which showed the safest place to swim. But with the increase in population, we've had to expand our operations greatly. So with the beacons, they could also be placed at the other end of long beaches to expand the lifeguards area, as the council at Coogee were doing with having cameras on the remote locations. This is a way for the public to actually call for a lifesaver or a lifeguard at a remote location. We would place the it's coming up, it's not coming up. Place the beacon at the far end of the beach, and they would be able to press the button and it instantly makes a call to our state operations centre and also call through the lifeguard. There's been several versions of the device. We're now up to Gen 5. The early ones were basically using the Surf Lifesaving radio network that people would call through on, which would go to our state operations centre. The next version was a similar version, just a little bit more upmarket. But so far, all of these devices were self-powered. The latest versions that we're looking at will basically have their own solar powers. They're connected via 4G or some other communications back to our state operations centre, and we will be able to log in to the camera to view them. So when somebody presses the button, there's a face-looking camera, so we can see the person we're talking to, and a situational awareness camera that will look at the beach behind them, so that we can find out where the person is. All the devices will be geo-tagged, so that we can, as soon as someone presses a button, the State Operations Centre will know what device has been activated, so that they can then start organising assets to go to that area. In the short term, they'll be operating 24/7, but the actual call centre at the moment is from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m, and then we have an after-hours emergency number as well. Most of the tasking that's done after hours is obviously from the police back to us, and each surf club has an after-hours emergency response team that can go to an incident. With the emergency response beacons, over the next couple of years, we'll be deploying these primarily at black spot locations, and then as we further afield, we'll be putting them at ends of remote beaches or the secondary beach that a surf club may patrol, or that the lifeguards patrol during the Christmas break or the holiday period. The main purpose of these devices is to speed up our emergency response. They can also be located at river mouths and lakes and things like that we're looking at. But in the short instance, we want to get them out to places where we've had swimmers in trouble, and the time that somebody calls for help and it goes to 000, because the person's in trouble, they think that it's an ambulance call. They don't think to call the police, who they can task life-saving. So with these devices, we're going to cut down the response time, hopefully, and save a few more lives. We'll be also deploying near the units some public rescue equipment that can be used, and hopefully with the signage and the presence of these devices, it might dissuade a few people from entering the water because it's an unpatrolled area. And that's pretty much it. There's a couple of devices already deployed. As you can see, we've got one up at Dreamtime Beach, which is an unpatrolled area, and we have one at Snapper Point Caves, where a lot of people go diving off the rocks and get stuck in the reef. We have 4 or 5 of the temporary units down in the Illawarra area, which are deployed each morning and afternoon by lifeguards. But this next version of the things will be a permanent deployment for us. So they'll be basically in and stay for the least of 3 years. We're hoping for them without any indication or any maintenance on our behalf. Questions, I guess.